Hey everybody, and welcome to the NintendoFuse Podcast. My name is Steve, and this is episode 163 of the NintendoFuse Podcast, entitled "The Calm Before the Smash." This is just the last couple days before Super Smash Bros. Ultimate hits, and we're here to talk about all the Nintendo news. But I am not joined. I'm not by myself. I am joined. I am joined by people tonight, as usual. Hey Barry, how's it going?
Hey Steve. I'm glad you're joined by us. I mean, come on.
I am too. It'd be pretty boring if I just had to talk to myself this whole hour or so. Greg, how's it going?
Good. I could just see it now. It'd be like, Steve here. Hey, what's going on? Oh, what do you think about this? Oh, yeah. Just one long conversation.
It's the Steve Show, starring Steve.
Yeah, and my guest, Steve. So... anyhow, we are glad. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad those in the chat are here, and for everybody else listening after the fact, thanks for checking out the NintendoFuse Podcast. Just a reminder to subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube now or after the fact. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and also hit that bell to be alerted with every new video that we post, every time we go live stream and all that stuff. Be great. And if you're listening after the fact on one of your podcast apps of choice, be sure to subscribe to the NintendoFuse Podcast as well. That way, every time we post a new a podcast episode, it'll be just shipped right to your device, and you don't even have to worry about going and tracking it down. So subscribe, and be sure to recommend us to other Nintendo fans in your life as well. And we don't mention this a whole lot, but on those podcast apps, if you like what you hear, if you like what you see and everything, make sure you do leave a positive review. That would help us kind of filter at the top and help other people find this podcast as well. We also do want to recommend that you join our Facebook group and follow us on all social media. Just follow at NintendoFuse. That'd be awesome. And we do have good news, great news tonight. We have a little contest that we're going to be kicking off. So Barry, you want to talk to us about that contest? Oh, you're muted.
Oh. There we go. Yeah.
There we go.
For the holidays, we wanted to do something special, and we reached out to our friends over at Video Games Monthly, and they agreed. They wanted to do something special for you too. So it was such a hit last time, we decided we're going to do it again. We're going to do another giveaway. This is for a 3-up box. This is for the holidays. So it's 2 weeks right now, starting tonight until our next podcast, which will be our final podcast of the year. So we're going to go out with a bang. We want to give another box to you guys. And thankfully, the people over at Video Games Monthly are awesome people. And if you haven't already there, you should check them out. In fact, to enter the contest, it's one of the things is to check them out, and you really should. They offer great service for great price, and they are really, really nice guys. So help them, help us, help you get free games. So, good luck to everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing those entries come in, and I'm looking forward to winning. The last one went to someone who was so generous and so appreciative. Someone who didn't have a lot of money, someone who was struggling with his family and with his daughter, and just really let him know that there's good out there. And it warmed my heart to be able to give that person some games, thanks to, again, Video Games Monthly. And we want to do it again. So please remember to enter. We will have that link posted probably in the description of this, as well as it will be on NintendoFuse.com. So go there to enter. We'll also share it on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the whole 9 yards, and on our personal pages. At least I'll be sharing it as well, just to try to get the word out there for everybody.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And if you're listening right now, you don't want to go to the description. The contest link is nintendofuse.com/video-games-monthly. So nintendofuse.com/video games monthly, with those hyphens in between video games and monthly. And you can enter. And there's a lot of different ways to enter. And like Barry said, thanks so much to Video Games Monthly for allowing us to do this contest. They were awesome last time. And we know that you guys are going to be excited about this. We're excited for you guys to get some free games from them. And do be sure to check them out. If you're interested in anything they do, they send these awesome boxes of retro games. And make sure you check them out and let them know that we sent you over there. That'd be awesome. All right, let's get into some discussion. First of all, what have you guys been playing? What have you been up to? What have you been writing about, streaming, all that different stuff? Greg, what's been occupying your time recently?
Well, I'm still going into Moonlighter, so I've been really trying to hammer away at that so I can get some stuff up on our site. Both I wanted to do like a little quick first impressions type thing, and then I wanted to even look into starting to do like a video review so we could have that posted at some point in the future. And of course, I'd love to do some other video reviews for some of the other games on my backlog. So hopefully I can finally get going on some of those for some holiday news and stuff of games that have released over the past couple months, along with a few others that have been longer than that. So
cool. Sounds fun. Barry, what's been occupying your Switch lately during your travels?
Yes. So I did go down to Tennessee for the past 2 weeks. In between, I actually left the Tuesday after our last podcast, and I just got back a couple days ago. So the Switch was a godsend because I was able to take it with me. And Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. I finished that. At least I finished the story. I haven't got a perfect team yet, but I'll do that in time. I played some Dead Cells, which was an interesting game. It wasn't everything I think people hyped it up to be, at least for me, but I can definitely see the appeal. And then I moved over to Ys 8, which is a game that I was supposed to do last year on the PS4 or Vita, and waited a bit and just didn't get the opportunity. And now it's like, oh, now it's on the Switch. I'm going to do that. That is honestly a fantastic game, but it does have some technical hiccups on the Switch, which are interestingly more noticeable on the TV versus portable. Because I played portable in Tennessee, and then now that I'm home, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put on the TV, and I noticed some frame rate issues and stuff. I was like, that's weird. This is on the Vita. How could this be like this? But it's still a great game, and I still absolutely enjoy it. So that's what I'm doing. I'm almost done with it. I'm on the chapter 6 out of 6. So I'm like, oh, I'm right there at the end, over 50 hours into this game. I really have enjoyed this. And Smash is coming. So I'm like, I got to finish this before Smash. But I have dabbled in a few other smaller titles in between those three. Stuff I will be, working on getting on a review up onto the site, hopefully before the end of the year. And some game chats. We've got some game chats to film. Hopefully, as you can see, if you're on YouTube, I am back on the laptop, so I'm not at my computer with my usual backdrop, because it's still in the shop. The entire 2 weeks I was gone, they did nothing with it. Nothing, not at all. And now they called me today oh yeah, it's a software issue. Your computer is fine, which is pretty much what I knew. Windows 10 is garbage. So yeah, tomorrow maybe I'll get my computer back. I don't know. But it really sucks being without it because it's like losing a limb. It really is. So that's really what I've been doing.
Wow. Yeah, that's awful. We were talking earlier. I just got a new computer. Got one of the new Mac Minis, and that's why we were late today, because I had to enable all the Google plugins and all that stuff. So maybe it's time. Maybe it's time, Barry. I don't know. all the money you spent on getting this thing repaired, I feel like you probably could have got the new computer by now.
the worst. Well, I did. The problem is when this whole happened originally, we thought it was a motherboard issue, and we thought it was a hard drive issue. So I went and got a brand new motherboard, brand new hard drive, brand new cooling unit to make sure it doesn't cool, doesn't freak out. Didn't get a new graphics card, but pretty much everything else, new coils. That the whole thing was pretty much a brand new computer. It was like $800+. Yeah. I need to fix this issue, and the issue it's still happening. It's like, why is this happening? And now the components are two months old. I think it was 2 months, and I brought it in. I'm like, 2 months. Come on, guys. This is $800 worth of stuff. You're telling me it's not going to work in 2 months? This is good company. And they're like, okay, this sounds like a motherboard or a hard drive issue. That's what the guy told me when I brought it in, because it wouldn't boot up. I'm like,
it's brand new.
It's 2 months.
Yeah.
This better be under warranty. So now they're telling me it's a software issue. And I'm like, you know what? I said, I'll take it only if you have it fully upgraded. Windows 10 fully upgraded. You deal with any headache that I've been dealing with, and you give it back to me working condition. So I'm not dealing with it anymore. Nice. I'm so close to going to Apple. I'll tell you that. And I've been a PC guy my whole life, and I love Windows. And I've used Windows from 3.1 until 10, and 10 is by far the worst. I liked ME better than 10, and that says a lot. That says a lot.
That's a lot.
I like Vista.
You like
better
Vista?
Than 10 too. Better than 10. You know why? Because Vista didn't cost me over $800 to get a new computer because it worked as poorly as it worked. It at least booted up. All right, 10 isn't even booting up for me, and that's the basics. I can't even load safe mode in it. They couldn't load safe mode. They had to like boot off of another hard drive of theirs. I'm like, oh my god.
Wow.
Was this like a PC that you built or something? Or
Yeah, we built the whole thing, and then we built it again with brand new parts.
Wow.
And it's a software issue, so it's not hardware. It's
Right,
Windows
yeah.
10. That's the software that's screwing up. This podcast is not an endorsement for Windows.
here I am running Windows 10 perfectly fine on my work laptop.
Yeah, well, it works fine for my wife too, but not for me. And no, I see in the comments, Jared is asking if it's a RAM issue. It's not. 16 gig DDR. Actually, that was another thing. I had DDR3 RAM, but when we did all this, that part of that $800 was getting 16 gig of DDR4 RAM, which is the newest version. So I'm upgrading even further, and it's not a RAM issue.
Yeah. Sounds like you got some top, new components there. Shouldn't be having these issues at all. But Jared also mentioned that he's been playing Spyro and Let's Go Pikachu. Had to beat them both. He just finished both of them before Smash Brothers comes out, which that's kind of a lot on our minds, like trying to finish whatever we can before we get on Smash Brothers this week. Like we said, this podcast is titled "The Calm Before the Smash" for sure. If you are watching live, make sure you do toss in your what you've been playing and input on all the news and stuff like that we talk about in the chat, and we'll read along as well. I have been playing. I streamed both of these games, both incredibly cheap games in the eShop, and so I decided to spend, I think, a whole like $1.70 or something the other day. In fact, one of them I used my Nintendo credit, my Nintendo credit to buy one of them, because that's pretty much all I get anymore is like cents. And so I was like, oh look, I can buy this game for 14 cents. So I got the Sparkle 2 Evo and Bouncy Bob, and both of them are worth the $1.70 that I spent, I'll say. The Sparkle Evo, it's been out for a while. It's been on other platforms and stuff like that too. I think it's by the people that did Journey, maybe, or something. It's that kind of a game where it's like just this environmental thing. So you complete this, you're kind of competing against another being, and you collect these orbs as you kind of fly or float or whatever around, swim around, and kind of evolve your character, and you kind of compete. But the weird thing is, after you're done, the contest is over and I won, and you'll see it in my live stream, I didn't really know what to do, and it doesn't really say what to do. And so I just kind of kept floating and flying or swimming around afterwards, and it was pretty, but I was like, oh, what do I do now? And so finally I just hit the start button, and like I could exit out of it and go to a different level. That was kind of just weird. It's a different type of game. And then Bouncy Bob is kind of a platform single screen thing. I don't even get it. It's not good. I say that. But hey, I think it's, like I said, I think it's like $1.14 or something. So hey, use your My Nintendo credits and see for yourself, or watch me play it. It's challenging. It's okay. But it's worth $1.20. If you see it for anything more than that, don't waste your money. But if you have an extra dollar or so, yeah, sure, check it out. Why not? It's definitely one of those that probably it seems more like an iPhone or Android game that they ported over, and yeah, it's not that great. But if it's $1.20, feel free to pick it up if you want to, or just watch my live stream and make a decision for yourself. So
you do know that $1.20 could have gone towards purchasing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, the full game, right? Just saying.
Yeah, it would have bought a whole quick math, 1.5% of it or something like that.
And I guarantee you that 1.5% is better than Bouncy Bob.
If I could actually buy a level of it at a time, that'd be different. But
You kind of did. You got Torna. How far are you in that? You're playing Bouncy Bob instead of Torna. I mean, come on.
Well, I had to do it for the site, of course. It's for the fans.
Science.
For the fans, Barry, for science.
Yeah, you know what? I bet the fans would like to see you stream Torna as well, right? Let's get a movement.
I got to start over then.
Stream Torna.
I think so.
No, you don't.
Are you saying you're the biggest fan then, Barry? Because I don't.
That's
think anyone
true.
else saying
I think once you get your
Alan
computer
Stephen
all figured out and everything, you need to stream some Xenoblade.
I already put 350 hours into it. All right, I did all this stuff. I'm done with it now. You got to do it.
I already put 2 hours into it. I don't know.
It would be a good stream to start in the middle of the game.
That's true. I can't. Greg needs to. He hasn't started it yet. Greg can stream from the very beginning. Here we go.
You could watch along with and commentate.
I could. All right.
That's a Christmas gift from Barry with Blade 2 and Torna packet bundled together.
There you go. Oh man. Hey, let's move into some news discussion because there's been a lot of different stuff, kind of a smattering of information all over the board. So we're going to hit a couple news stories and then move into some further discussion. One of the things is that Nintendo has recently shut down any idea of Skyward Sword coming to Switch, at least as of now. So apparently AGI Anuma, kind of like the series producer for Zelda series, took to stage in Japan the other day, and it was a Zelda music concert. And he said something about, I know what you're thinking, Skyward Sword for the Switch, right? And apparently, that like set the entire the concert goers and everything, they got really excited and everything, and people were thinking it might happen. But Nintendo has officially talked to Eurogamer, a spokesperson from Nintendo, and said at this time, quote, "We have no plans to release The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword on Nintendo Switch." So what do you guys think about this? Greg, is that disappointing, or do you think it's actually going to happen down the line?
I kind of think it was just going to be happening down the line. I mean, obviously they're not going to like just throw it out there right now and be like, oh yeah, we're working on an HD version of Skyward Sword. I mean, they are always very particular with their announcements, and when the time is right, it's going to be there. I mean, they've already done Twilight Princess, Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask. All these games, excellent games, have all been got a remake kind of type treatment. So obviously Skyward Sword will be probably the next one, and I'm assuming it'll probably be announced at some point next year, whether it's an early Nintendo Direct or E3 or whatever. So,
yeah. Barry, do you agree, or do you think this is definitely dead and they have no plans and never will have plans?
Nintendo is never a company you can truly predict. Honestly, this didn't surprise me. It would surprise me if nothing ever happened, nothing came of this. The Switch, for better or for worse, has gotten a lot of ports. And it wouldn't surprise me or most people if Wind Waker and Twilight Princess got ported back over. So it wouldn't, some people would like a trilogy with Skyward Sword thrown in there. I think what they should do, and they also stated they want a Zelda game every year. And obviously they can't have a Breath of the Wild every year. So there will have to be remakes and spin-offs like Hyrule Warriors thrown in. So what they could do is they could do a collection. I mean, you think about the GameCube era. One thing they did right is they utilized Zelda. They utilized Ocarina of Time and Master Quest for pre-order for Wind Waker to drum up interest. Then they did the whole collector's edition with Ocarina and Majora's Mask along with 1 and 2. They can do something like that. They can do a Zelda collection with the first 4 games on it, with the Four Swords extra stuff for Link to the Past and the DX version of Link's Awakening. Maybe even give those all like an overhaul in graphic department, and then follow it up with Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask 3D, and the Oracle games. The Oracle games severely need remakes. They are fantastic, and I would love to see them with better graphics. And they could just keep going and release the entire Zelda catalog in little collections. Even if they say Skyward Sword's coming, but Skyward Sword is what, like the 13th or 14th Zelda game, like all the way down the line. I would go through them all just to get there. Skyward Sword was a good game. It had its problems, but I think that if they did it right on the Switch, especially if they took out motion controls, like they let them in there, but they allowed you not to use them, Skyward Sword would get a lot better of a reputation. So I think it could happen. In fact, I expect it to happen. The Switch is still in its infancy. We had Breath of the Wild last year. We had all the DLC as well. This year we have Hyrule Warriors, as well as the Nintendo Online Zelda and the special version. So next year we'll see what comes from Zelda. They want something every year. We'll see.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. Just about the controls is what kind of interests me. It almost kind of seems, I feel like they'd have to redo the game because the motion controls were so integral to that experience that they'd have to kind of redo it. Not unlike what they did with some of the other remakes where they just basically put a new skin on it and freshen it up. This would almost like, I feel like they have to go back and redo aspects of the game. Greg, what were you talking about?
I was gonna be like, watch their next year's release be like, oh, Adventure of Link now on the NES app.
They can't just do that. That's
yeah. Jared saying in the chat that he feels like it is happening, but they're just not ready to announce it yet. It's kind of one of those jargon things like, hey, we're not officially ready to announce this, but they probably are working on something. And I think that was very similar to Wind Waker. They were toying around with it before they actually felt like they were actually going to release it. It wasn't necessarily a plan. They were just kind of playing around. And maybe they're doing something like that with Skyward Sword. They're playing around with stuff and they don't have anything to officially announce yet as a released game, but they're Nintendo. They're a long-standing video game company. They're going to play around with some big franchises like this and see if it could work. It's like when saying, like, people often say like, oh man, it's big news that Nintendo is working on their next console, or Apple's working on their next computer or their next iPhone. Well, duh, of course they are. They're always working on their next thing. So they're always going to be playing around and trying some new things, especially with those big IPs. But they're not ready to announce it yet. So.
Well, if you think back when Ocarina of Time 3D was released, people were clamoring for Majora's Mask. And Miyamoto actually stated, asked, what would you like, a sequel to A Link to the Past or Majora's Mask? And naturally, a sequel to A Link to the Past one with Link Between Worlds. And at New York Comic Con, I think it was 2013, Anuma was there. And I got to ask him because everyone was like hyping Majora's Mask, and they were showing Link Between Worlds stuff. And in one of the rooms, you can see Majora's Mask is on the wall, and people suddenly, oh my God, Majora's Mask, is that a hint? And he's like, Majora's Mask isn't happening. We can't talk about that right now. Like, we're talking about A Link Between Worlds. Nothing else is in development. And sure, of course, Majora's Mask was in development at Grezzo, and of course came out shortly thereafter. But then they were like, nope, we're not talking about it. Link Between Worlds is all we're doing. Here, it's the same thing. So it's probably in the works. They just don't want to talk about it yet. They keep things close to their chest.
I mean, I would think it'd be a good candidate. I mean, the Joy-Cons have significantly better motion control than I'm sure the Wii Remote did. So even if they don't give you an option to not have it, I'm sure a lot of the people's problems with it desyncing and not being centered and all that kind of stuff will all be kind of things of the past. So I would think it would still be a good fit anyways. So
yeah, I mean, they could port it over and just keep motion controls and that's it, I guess. So could definitely work. So let's move on and talk about Pokemon Go. I know Barry is a big Pokemon Go fan still. I've been playing it more often than I had. I had taken a break for a while. Greg, we're still trying to convince. I don't know. He's either going to play Pokemon Go or Xenoblade. We may take bets. Throw your suggestions in the comments. Which do you think that Greg will actually play first, Xenoblade or Pokemon? So we'll take a poll in the comments and see what people think. But if you are a Pokemon Go fan, you can now get Brock and Misty outfits. And these are, of course, kind of tied in with the Pokemon Let's Go games. They're the first gym leaders that you face in the game, since that's kind of a remake kind of Yellow in a way. And so you can get Brock's jacket for 300 coins, his pants for 250 coins, his climbing shoes for 150, or if you have a female character, you can get Misty's tank top for 200 coins, her shorts for 200 coins, and her sneakers for 150 coins. In real money, that ends up being about $6.50 US for Brock's outfit, or $5 for Misty's outfit. I know Greg hasn't gotten this already, but Barry, is this is exciting for you, or do you pretty much already have your outfit picked out and you're not going to go after a Brock outfit?
The coins are too valuable buying boxes for incubators and raid passes to spend cosmetically. But the bigger news they just announced is that PvP is coming, and I believe it's coming tomorrow as of the filming of this. So PvP is coming to Pokemon Go, and that to me is awesome because there's a lot of people in this area, and I'm sure I'm going to get my butt kicked because there are people in this area with like multiple level 100 perfect IV, even Mewtwo. Like I'm even lucky Mewtwo perfect dive. I'm like, oh my god, like like it's insane how competitive it is in this area. But I'm looking forward to PvP and getting my butt kicked. But it should be fun for at least a little while.
That is more exciting, and that's why like in the whole scheme of things, Barry definitely plays this a whole lot more than I did. He knew that. That's awesome. That's good news for me. Greg, is that enough? You can dress up as Brock and you do PvP. Is that enough to get you in Pokemon?
Remember, you can trade too now.
The PvE is something more chasing me away. I mean, even if they implemented it in Fire Emblem Heroes, I've always been like, yeah, that's gonna be a mode I'm not gonna be very good at. I'm very much better at facing the computer. So
that's true. You only play single player in Splatoon too.
Yeah, I was saying the PvE would chase me even farther. Like, oh, now I need to.
Well, it's completely optional. It's just like trading, and you don't have to do anything with that. Well, it's not saying you must go out and battle to the death.
I mean, everything is optional. Even if they did put into Fire Emblem, it would just be like whatever, just a small reward on some sort of frequent basis to play the mode. I mean, it's basically all that kind of stuff is. I mean, you don't have to do it, you don't have to get it, but it's there for those that like to play it and will even do it every day type thing. So
speaking of mobile, how about Dragalia Lost? Have you guys started that yet? Come on, guys.
I still haven't even downloaded it yet.
Oh my god.
It's on the backlog.
Oh my god, I don't know what I'm gonna do with you people.
Well, and now I've got more reasons to play Pokemon Go again, so more so.
So tell me, Barry, how high is your floating fortress in Fire Emblem Heroes? Let's talk about this.
Oh, Fire Emblem Heroes, that's old hat. Dragalia Lost.
Come on, it's a brand new mode. You can like design your own map and you get to make your own defense team, and you can battle other people's custom design levels.
All right, let's move on to hacking the Switch, which you can't do anymore, apparently. Nintendo has recently released firmware 6.2 for the Nintendo Switch, and supposedly they have used a software update to fix a hardware flaw that was on the Nintendo Switch that allowed some hackers to go in and install their own software and all these sort of things. But as of 6.2, Nintendo has, according to a lot of the hacker community, has done a remarkable thing by using a software update to fix a hardware flaw. And according to a lot of the people in the hacking scene, this is potentially closed down the hacking ability of the Nintendo Switch for the foreseeable future. This is a huge thing that they don't really see a way around currently. So, Greg, I know you've been looking into this a little bit. What are your thoughts on this? I think there's a lot of good things that come about because of this, but I know a lot of people are kind of like, oh man, now I don't have my homebrew. I don't have the way to like back up my stuff anymore on my own. But what are your thoughts about this whole thing?
Well, I mean, I kind of figured it was coming. I know they've been trying to like ban some of the hackers that have kind of ruined Splatoon 2 online and other experiences like that. So it's kind of obviously in a greater sense, it's better in that regards. But obviously, people that are using it for good things like to back up their own saves because they don't have like cloud saves or didn't want to buy the Nintendo Online or whatever, then that's obviously kind of a defeating purpose of it. So I know part of this update, it actually requires you to like update to this 6.2. So even if you're trying to like use whatever an older version, they'll still try to like get you to get the latest, and there's like no more grace period and all that. But I did see a few comments saying I guess that 6.2 has been kind of hacked, but like it's a lot easier for them to just keep putting in smaller and smaller like patches just to keep it super secure. That this major method has been kind of shut down. So basically, I guess in order to access even like the eShop, that you have to have the latest version of the software. So they're really shutting down a lot of these other avenues for that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
overall,
yeah,
good
pretty
thing.
much. Yeah, pretty much. If you, I mean, if you want to take your Switch online, update games, anything like that, access the eShop, you have to update. So this is definitely, I think, a step in the right direction to avoid this sort of thing. Barry, is this all positive, or is there any sort of negative to this story at all?
I mean, this is a classic case of, a few people ruining it for everybody else. Some people will look at Nintendo as a bad guy here. I think they're just protecting their property and their system. I have never been one to hack a system. I have no need for it. I know some people do it so they could put emulation and play old games. I have them already, so I don't need that. I know, like there are people who will, the Vita is a big system that got hacked, and will want Vitas with earlier updates just because Sony did the same thing, just so they have a Vita with everything on it. And they're doing the same thing with Switch. It's inevitable. Where there's a will, there's a way. So will somebody eventually hack every version that Nintendo puts out? Most likely. Will everybody care by the end of the day? Probably not. For those that absolutely want a cracked Switch so that they can download games for free and all that stuff, they're going to be going for it. But they'll miss out on other opportunities. I don't think it's necessary. I mean, emulation and ROM, sure, totally necessary for preserving games. I don't think you necessarily have to have it on the Switch to claim preservation when there's such a thing as a PC. And for any game that's out there now on the Switch, it's out there on the Switch. When the servers go down and all these digital-only games disappear, that's a different story. And that's why I'm an advocate for physical.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And the only time I've ever hacked a Nintendo system, it was an old, I think my DS or something like that, and I had one of the flash carts or whatever, so it wasn't really a full-on hack or anything like that, but it was cool to have, because I had digital copies of physical hardware at the time, and it was cool to take those around. And you guys know, I mean, we've disagreed on stuff like that before, but that was the reason why at the time, because I didn't want to take all those cartridges around with me and stuff like that. And I had the cartridges and stuff, but we live in a different world nowadays. And like you said, like if you want another backup, of your game or something, you can do that on your computer and stuff. So I don't see as much of a need to do it anymore. And it kind of seems like, what you said is kind of some people ruining it for the rest of us, unfortunately.
It's really more so that they can get games for free because they're either being cheap or they don't have the money. Preservation is just something that unfortunately people use as a scapegoat, when in reality preservation is done usually on the computer and stuff like that. And when it's like, oh, I want this to preserve so I could have Super Mario Odyssey. Super Mario Odyssey is plenty preserved. There's a ton of physical copies. You can go buy one right now. It is preserved. You don't need to hack your Switch to be able to preserve Mario Odyssey.
Right, for sure. Let's move on into a little bit more detailed news discussion. We got some updates over Black Friday weekend. So from Thanksgiving to Cyber Monday sales for United States only. And apparently Switch dominated over the holiday, gift buying season that we have here in the United States. And it was actually the biggest shopping seasons of the year for many years for Nintendo. And so the Switch dominated. In fact, it overcame their previous console, the Wii, that's sales records. So that was like their previous top dog in terms of holiday sales. And the Switch overcame that. And also it sets a new record in terms of their overall sales this year. And it had a 45% spike from 2017. So year over year, we had the 45% spike. And Nintendo, because of all this, sold $250 million in sales in the United States. over that 5-day period. That's a lot of money. Sales grew from Nintendo Switch. Sales grew 115%. Compared to the last year overall. And there's just like some big stuff here. And in fact, even it sold to 22 million 3DSs thanks to this Cyber Monday and Black Friday sales. Even the classic systems, the minis of the NES and the SNES minis, the NES is now up to 2 million and the SNES is now up to 2.5 million. They had a big software time and hardware time over this period. And because of all that and some other things, analysts are actually predicting that the Nintendo Switch is going to overcome the PS4 in 2019. So let's go to you, Barry, first. Like, what are your reactions to that? Like, does this surprise you that they sold so many? And do you think, a little further, do you think that they actually the Switch will overtake the PS4 next year?
Well, first, those numbers you said were US numbers. So
right.
That's not worldwide. But as for it doing well, I don't think it was a surprise that it did well. I mean, the only real deal I saw was the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe bundle where it came for free. But yeah, I mean, they've got two heavy hitters. You know, a lot of people were like, Pokemon Let's Go isn't going to be a heavy hitter. And it was. It was no doubt it was going to be. And then, of course, Smash coming out. Two big heavy hitters. They were smart to bundle the system with Fortnite. Even though Fortnite's a free game, just putting it on the box sold units. And yeah, I mean, it's its second holiday. A lot of people who couldn't get it or didn't get it last year, you know, they're jumping into a system that just got Pokemon Let's Go, that's getting Smash in just a couple days. And on top of that, they have Breath of the Wild, they got Xenoblade, they got Mario Odyssey, they got Splatoon, Mario Kart, all these games that maybe they didn't play. So there's a ton of fantastic games on this system already. There's no reason not to get it now. There's something for everyone. As for next year, it definitely will not overtake PlayStation 4 lifetime sales. Like, no way in hell. But will it outsell the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One next year? I think it will, but there's other factors. That's a very skewed statement. That makes it like, oh my God, that's fantastic. And it is fantastic. But the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One have been out since 2013. PlayStation 4 has 80 million units. Xbox One is in the 30s. The people that really want a PS4, that really want an Xbox One, already have one. You know, there's still people buying them, of course, but some of these are buying their second or their third or a replacement, or, you know, there's still some new people getting on board. But the majority of people that want these systems have one. So the Switch is still in its infancy. It should. In fact, if PS4 or Xbox One outsold the Switch next fiscal year entirely, I would be shocked. And that would be a really bad sign for Nintendo. It absolutely should outsell them. That's not the statistic I'm looking for. The statistic I want to know is, how well does the Switch perform against the inevitable PS5 and the Xbox 2, if you will, because that's really where it matters. Outselling an older system is really, it's a given. It should happen. And it's great for Nintendo, and I'm happy that it's breaking personal records, and I love the Switch, and I want it to do well. I know analysts are also predicting that it's not going to hit that 20 million sold this fiscal year like they wanted. It's going to be like 17 million. That fiscal year ends in March, so there's still time. We don't know what Christmas is truly going to bring. Smash as well. We have to see. But I really think that the Switch would be in more trouble if it didn't outperform older systems, and if it can stay, like, keep that momentum, like the Wii kept that momentum for so long. That's what Nintendo needs to do with the Switch. The PS5 needs to come out, and the Switch needs to outsell it. The Xbox 2 or whatever needs to come out, and the Switch needs to outsell it. Then we know the Nintendo has staying power. But if the PS5 and the Xbox 2 come out and the Switch sales drop, like drastically drop, that is a problem, and that is something that will have to be looked at. As of now, it's all smooth sailing. Nintendo almost has free reign because the other systems are older. Yet even with that free reign, they're still not getting a lot of AAA third-party titles, which is still upsetting.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting too. I mean, and what that transition is going to be like. And also I agree with you with the analysts talking about overcoming the PS4 sales next year, because we know that, or at least it's rumored and kind of all but confirmed, that the PS5 is going to come out in 2020. So it's similar to how, new phone drop, sales drop when they announce the next one. Like Apple has its worst sales periods of the year in like August, because people know the next new phone is going to come out in September. And so, yeah, I expect PS4 sales to drop as soon as they officially do announce the PS5 that's going to come out in 2020. And like, people are like, why do I need to buy a PS4 now when I can just wait a few months and get the brand new one? And so, yeah, of course, Switch sales are going to pick up that and surpass it in that time. Greg, do you agree with this, or do you have any other thoughts about it?
Well, I was kind of wanted to disagree just a little bit with like what Barry was saying about this, because like the Switch kind of also came out at like that unusual time where it didn't really have any like long running consoles, like, or like consoles that all came out together like with it. I mean, normally the hardware cycle for all three companies has all been within like a year span or whatever, but the Switch kind of jumped the gun and went a little bit earlier as expected, just because due to the Wii U's awesome power it did. So I remember we have discussed previously the major impact that like, oh, the PS4 has now outsold the Wii U, and the Wii U had like a 1 year head start, and it was like all this huge thing, like anti-Nintendo. I mean, I almost see like the Switch could like even outsell the PS4 because it's got that momentum, and it's got a lot of those exclusive titles that there are the system sellers. It has Zelda, it has Mario, it has Smash Brothers in just 4 days. So those are the kinds of games that people actually legitimately buy the console for. And now that Smash Brothers is here, it's going to convert all those people that just play Smash Brothers only is just like, oh, time to get a Switch. And then now that
don't get me wrong, Greg. I think that the Switch lifetime will outsell the PS4. I do think that. I do not think it's overtaking it next year. I do not see the Switch hitting the 80 million mark next year. Like, I just don't. Next fiscal year, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. I mean, we have Animal Crossing, we have Fire Emblem. There's certainly some.
That would be like a 50 million, sold in a fiscal year. That would be huge. If Nintendo could sell 50 million Switches in 1 year, that would be that's unbelievable. Like that's shooting the moon right there.
Although, I mean, though, like Jared's mentioned in this in the chat as well, and I think what you're saying, Greg, is like they've got like a good combination of games. Like if they are going to pull it off, they're going to be slated in a really good position to do that. So it'd still be shooting for the moon, but they might actually reach it with this kind of combination of games in a fairly short amount of time.
I'm willing to take a bet that they won't next year. I will bet money on it. Like, I think they could do 25 million next year. I think next year's going to be better than this year, hands down. But 50.
I think what we failed to mention is like the article that's claiming that the Switch is outselling. I think that's might be just for the United States, because in here it says like the PS4 sales are at 17.1 million, and it's forecasting the Switch to have like 17.3 like total. So seems like it's specific to a region. It doesn't specify US or Japan, but I'm assuming it's not worldwide, as you were saying. It's like at least 50 million or something just to surpass, and that's obviously not attainable in 1 year. But so
yeah,
I don't know.
I think that's just for the year. Yeah. But so here's a question then. What would it take for them to actually get that number, you think, Barry? Like if is it achievable at all? Is it achievable?
Yes. I'm going to say oh, it's a hard one. I'm going to say yes in my dreams. And what they would have to do, and this is honest to God what they would have to do, they would have to put out one big AAA title a week. That means a new Zelda, new Mario, new Metroid, new F-Zero, new Wave Race, new 1080, new Star Fox, you go back, Mach Rider, Earthbound, Star Tropics, you name it, every single week. On top of that, they would have to release their entire back catalog and talking NES, SNES, N64, GameCube, Wii U, throw in the Game Boys, Virtual Boy, the whole 9 yards. Throughout the year, they will have to do promotions where every month, they're going to give away several free games, kind of like with the online service, but more. Like every month, you're going to get free games. Some incentive to like purchase a game, we're going to give you free games. Kind of like what they did again, going back to the GameCube era, where they like, hey, buy any 2 of these 4 GameCube games, and we're going to give you Zelda Collector's Edition for free. Do something like that. And on top of that, they would have to lower the price to achieve it, and do just probably things, marketing up the wazoo, get it into schools, get Labo getting into schools, get that everywhere. Just get hands-on. Everybody and their mother needs to get hands-on. Need to have Switches instead of Wii's. Like everyone needs get a Wii Sports on it. Like they would need to hit every single demographic to even remotely get 50 million. I don't think there's a console in the history that has sold 50 million units worldwide. I'm not going to say just for one country, but worldwide in a year. I mean, the PS2 sold 150 in its lifetime, and that's like, what, 12 years, 13 years. The Wii was over 100 in 6-7 years. You're talking like half the Wii's lifetime sales in 1 year. That's insane. If they do it, they can just retire. They can just throw their hands up and go, we're done. With it, Money Pit, Scrooge McDuck, here we come, because that would be amazing, and I would love it, but I don't see it happen. Oh, they would have to get every third party as well. Like you would need every third party title coming to the Switch, the Call of Duty, Assassin's Creeds, like everything, Battlefields, every EA Sports title. You would need to get every single demographic, and even then, you would probably miss the mark.
Yeah, I don't even think. I think we're getting like way off of this. It's not supposed to like actually be the total like sales over like all these previous years. I think it's just supposed to sell more total consoles from January 1st to December 31st.
It's March.
So
March is their
fiscal year, but yeah. And and so we don't think like essentially we were basically saying, that's a safe bet for that to happen.
I would be very shocked if the PS4 from March 2019 till March 2020 outsold the Switch in that same amount of time. I would really be surprised.
Yeah, yep. Especially because it seems like it's almost the PS4's last maybe official year as the console from Sony. So here's the question, and kind of talked about it. Jared brought it up in the chat. If they do a Switch revision, that could bring new energy to the Switch. We've talked about this before. Do you think that you think that this pressure from the other companies are going to do this, or Nintendo is still going to stay on their own little path and they're going to keep coming up with things like they normally do, and we're just going to get keep with our Switch and that's all we're going to have? Or what are they going to do with the Switch long term to make sure it has staying power beyond games? Greg, any ideas?
I mean, I think I guess it depends on what kind of revision. If they're going to be kind of trying to do like the little fork they did with the 3DS, with like the new 3DS having additional power and have very minimal exclusive games, that probably could end up hurting them in the long run. But I don't know if it's just like a revision just for make it smaller, or I don't know, have like a D-pad or something on the Joy-Con. I mean, that seems like it's minor enough where it's like, sure, you can throw that in there at a lower price, something like that, or maybe even have like the Switch XL and make it a bigger one. I don't know, but
yeah,
you never know with Nintendo these days. They like to make things smaller, then they also make things bigger. So,
Barry, is the revision going to happen?
I think it depends on if you classify the Switch as the next home console or portable. If you look at their home consoles, they've only done 3 revisions: the NES, SNES, and Wii. Only their successful consoles, and all 3 revisions have actually been for pretty much worse. The NES top loader had some better features, but was missing like AV out in America, so it was actually a little bit worse. But the Wii Mini was terrible, and the SNES Mini was whatever. Like, they weren't really great. There were console revisions to be as cheap as possible to sell more units. If you look at the handheld side, however, all the revisions have actually been increasing power. The Pocket was better than the Game Boy. The Light was better than the Game Boy. The Color was better than the Game Boy. The Game Boy Advance SP, both models were better than the original GBA SP. The Micro, maybe not, depending. That was kind of like a weird thing. And then, of course, the DS line has only gotten better, and the 3DS line has only gotten better. So if we go on the handheld route, then yeah, it's going to be better. If it's going the console route, it's probably going to be worse and cheaper to produce, taking out features like the GameCube was taken out of the Wii. Honestly, if they wait till 2020, let's say the PS5 comes out in 2020, and they say, well, in order to compete, 2020 we're going to put out the Switch Pro, and the Switch Pro has the power of bare minimum of PS4 Pro. Like, it can't, maybe 5 would be great, but anything less than a PS4 Pro would put it, back, and cost a little more. Sure, plays all Switch games, exclusive Switch games. Again, the point of it is to attract third parties. Nintendo can make their hardware run their games perfectly. You look at all of Nintendo's titles, they run beautifully, they look beautifully, they take up the smallest amount of memory possible, where like NBA 2K save file is like 8 times the size of Mario Odyssey's entire game. The big deal is third party. People already buy a Nintendo system for Nintendo games. That's given. They need to be able to piggyback third party games. Doom, Wolfenstein, it's great we got those. But you think we're going to get PS5 games? Most likely not. Once PS5 hits and all the third parties move, they have to decide, are we going to continue to develop Switch versions of these lesser games? Now, if they also put the game on PS4 and Xbox One for at least a little bit during the transition period, sure, Switch is going to maybe get a version or two. We saw that happen with the Wii U getting a version if it was on PS3 or 360. We saw that with the Wii due to the PS2 and the PSP. Now, that's not going to last, and that's not going to transition. Like, oh, you want the worst version of Assassin's Creed? Well, you can get it on Switch. Yay! You want the best version with all the explosive new HD graphics? PS5 is where it's at. The majority of people are going to buy it on the PS5 in that case.
Yeah. It's interesting to me, like that we've kind of gotten to this point where we've gotten the older games on Nintendo systems in terms of third parties, and then they have moved into kind of giving us somewhat ports of other games, and then kind of like what we're seeing now is like more mobile games being ported over and everything. And that's what I'm kind of afraid of, is that, yeah, we'll start getting third parties, but they're going to be ports of mobile games. And what's going to happen when, like, it already has happened. I feel like this iPhone that I have is more powerful than the Switch that I have. And so, like, what's going to happen when all of a sudden now the Nintendo's hardware can't even handle the top of the line iPhone game, and that can't even be ported over? Our company is still going to be, going to push to put their Switch version of their game. So they need some sort of hardware refresh to keep it going, I feel like. Or maybe there's going to be a Switch 2 down the line.
I don't know if you saw, it was an article about an interview with Starlink's creators about the Switch version, and they said it was incredibly difficult to get it running and looking as good as it does, and they spent a lot of time and energy making it look comparable to the PS4, and it looks amazing. The Starlink on the Switch looks amazing, and they had to bust their balls pretty much to do this, and it took a lot of time. And Ubisoft is one of those rare developers that has a good relationship with Nintendo. They knew they had Star Fox license. They needed to make it right. Everybody else is not on the table with that. They're like, oh, what? It's going to take me an extra couple months to develop and make sure the Switch version looks good. Nah, we'll just make it a buggy mess, whatever. And then we'll blame it, not selling because people didn't buy it because it's a buggy mess, and we won't put any more games on the Switch.
Yeah. It's, who knows what's going to happen, but I hope they learn from some of these things. I hope it keeps getting better. I hope they make a run for the PS4 sooner than later. But yeah, they're going to definitely have to figure out some of these third party issues and some power issues and some other things if they're going to keep pushing it forward, for sure. Let's turn the page a little bit. We're going to talk about Kirby a little bit, because Smash Brothers is coming out soon, and we're going to kind of dive into a little bit of this article that Sakurai wrote And this is a column he writes a lot of times. I'm blanking on the name of the magazine that he writes for on occasion. Do you guys remember it off the top of your head? Oh, I'm totally forgetting what it is. It's coming to me. What is it? Oh, Famitsu. So he writes this recurring column there, and his last column has been translated by the guys over at Source Gaming. Make sure you check out our NintendoFuse.com. We have a post about this article, and you can actually, like, we linked to Source Gaming, so make sure you check out their translation. They did an awesome job at translating this entire thing. But in it, we learned some more reasons of why Kirby was the one that survived Galeem's attack in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate in their story mode and everything of World of Light. And according to the translation, all the characters that had normal abilities were removed from consideration immediately. Like, they just had normal abilities. There's no way they could outrun Galeem's attack. And further, the attack covered the entire galaxy, which also removed characters with teleportation and stuff like that. And so he needed a character with a vehicle that defied the laws of physics and all that sort of thing. And so Kirby's Warp Star apparently was the last thing that, like, it just fit. And so it's not because of his history with Kirby and everything like that. A lot of people think, like, oh, it's his favorite and that sort of thing. There's actually some real reasons why Kirby was the one to survive. Other considerations were like Bayonetta and Palutena, but they had some other reasons why they were removed as well. There's a lot more in this article, so I want to encourage you guys to check out Source Gaming to learn more about this and show them some love for translating this entire thing. That's awesome. Greg, you did a little more research into this. Any thoughts about Kirby and anything about Super Smash Bros. from this article that Source Gaming translated?
Well, I was very eager to even when I was reading through it, because it was like a nice explanation, and I kind of like that kind of extra background details, because obviously you're not going to get that from the story mode. You're just going to be like, oh, Kirby survives, okay, whatever. But I like having this. He goes into the actual game design perspective, and it's kind of like, well, we couldn't use Mario because he can't really teleport or warp or anything like that. I mean, at least normally. I mean, obviously, like Mario 3 has a warp whistle, but that's whatever. You never really know with those kinds of things if it's like a true, like how they can really cross dimensions type warp, but which Mario's is not. So I think that's kind of how you eliminated Mega Man, because he just kind of teleports, but he doesn't really teleport out of a dimension, because it's his attack engulfed the entire galaxy. So this is a huge range where it's very few characters could really truly escape something like that. So I do appreciate seeing that design perspective that he gave behind this decision. So I do respect him for it, and I really can't wait for Smash Brothers. So I'll be excited to play World of Light on Friday.
For sure. Yeah, you enjoy this single player. That's there. It's built for you. There you go.
Yeah.
Barry, what do you think about this explanation? Does it make sense? Are you excited that Kirby's the one that survives, or would you rather have been someone else?
You know who would have survived? Rex and Pyra, damn it. They could have dimension hopped, okay? They would have survived had they were actually taken into consideration. And I know his whole excuse of Bayonetta and Palutena were well, the people over there are spirits as well, so they were hit. Well, you know what? I know Xenoblade 2 has spirits, but you have to pay for them. Therefore, DLC is removed from the game, and they would absolutely survive. There's a DLC wall. You didn't pay for it. Boom, the beam goes away. So you know what? They could have survived, but they were not put in, and that was a fault for Sakurai. He wanted the love for Kirby. They could have Kirby and Rex together, yeah, let's do this. But no, has to be for his shining boy Kirby. His reasons are perfectly fine. He did say he is my son, kind of deal. He joked around about that. I acknowledge that. And I think that's cool. You know what, Sakurai, honestly, he could do what he wants. It's his game. We all do not deserve a man like him designing this game. So honestly, whatever he does, I know some people were upset about Piranha Plant. I was upset about Piranha Plant in the sense that Rex didn't get in and Piranha Plant did, but I thought Piranha Plant looked cool. But you know what? It is his game, and Sakurai could do what he wants, and that's just it. We're already getting a packed game, and like Greg, I can't wait to do World of Light. I am very much a single player person over anything else too, so I will be sinking my time heavily into that. But I'm glad that he took the time to talk about that. He also said like Kirby is like whoever survived was going to be the first character, and Kirby is a nice generic general character, easy to use, hard to master, so even newcomers can play Kirby and start getting other characters. Whereas if it was Palantina, for example, Palantina is a much harder character to control and would make World of Light that much more difficult, and it shouldn't be. And it also works that Kirby is one of the original 8 or original 12, if you will. So there is that semblance as well.
Yeah, I think it does make a lot of sense, and it just kind of happens to, you know, connect with Sakurai, and he even talked about, I guess, the in Japanese, World of Light backwards actually says something about Kirby. I forget what it is, but it's something, some reference to Kirby, and he acknowledged the fact that's just a weird coincidence. They actually noticed that in production when they were, you know, entitling everything. But the thing, it just is totally a coincidence, the whole scheme of things, and they did not plan it that way as well. So yeah, like you guys, I'm incredibly excited to play Smash Brothers. Just a few days away. It's going to be great. I'm excited to learn even more about it. I purposely stayed away from all the leaks and all that stuff. So like, I don't know about you guys. I think Barry is very similar to me in this. Like I'm trying to stay away from all that stuff that's been leaked and hacked and whatever. Like, in fact, I've stayed away from it enough to know I don't even know what's going on. I just know something is going on in that world, and I've completely stayed ignorant about it at all. Greg, do you know anything about this stuff? Don't tell us any details, but have you researched it all?
I've been staying away from it. When I do have to like add on to a point, I was just like going through like a Twitter feed, and I had someone that like liked something, like was like in the head of this big explanation on something. I was like, I did not want to know this. Why am I seeing this kind of crap in my feed? Like I'm just trying to like find other things, not like leaks and verified stuff. And it really made me angry to like even that minute detail. I'm like, come on, this is like a month away. Like why do we have to like be seeing this kind of stuff? I want to go in as blind as possible. I've stayed away from everything Game Explained because you can never really know for sure with those guys anymore. So
that's true. The new guy they have on there is like he knows a lot. He dives into a lot of stuff, and you just never know. Like, is he gonna spoil something or not?
Yeah, I've seen them like posting videos like, oh, here's how I can do this, and here's how long it takes to unlock characters. Like, nope, not interested. Get me away from this.
Yeah. Barry, I know you've stayed away from even like the possible rumors, potential leaks, like the whole way through. Has it been more difficult as stuff has kind of seemed to leak out recently?
The only thing I actually did watch, Game Explained did like a 45-minute analysis on that 3-minute World of Light trailer, and I actually watched that, and it got me hyped up. Like there wasn't any spoiler like that. All right, now I really want to play this mode. But outside of that, nothing. A friend of mine called me yesterday, actually, or 2 days ago, and he was like, "Oh man, did you see that?" I mean, shut up. Like, no, like I will drive to your house right now if you say another word, and you will not like my visit. Like, I have truly stayed away. I found it actually very easy, because I don't really use Twitter often. So that hasn't been an issue. Instagram, I don't follow as many game journalists, so, and even there, it's more pictures. And for Facebook, a lot of the groups I'm in or also hold a no spoiler like pretty much rule, so there's no posts. And other than that, like YouTube, I haven't had a computer for 2 weeks, so you know, for me, it's really easy when you don't go online. You know.
Yeah.
Wow, Windows 10 for keeping you spoiler free for
There you go. There you go. That's right. What it all comes down to. The Microsoft knew that it was going to be hard for you to stay away, so they're just like, you know what, we're just going to shut down Barry's computer altogether.
That's that's really what it is. And Windows 10 is such a wonderful thing for doing that. I tell you. In fact, I don't know. I don't know if you can see this or not. Hopefully this comes through. But I took this picture. This is when I brought in my computer, just going back to the computer. There's an ad right on the window, and it literally says Windows 10, the best Windows ever. So I had to take a picture of it, and I'm like, yeah, sure, the irony of this. So yeah, Windows 10. Thank you, Windows 10, for preventing me from seeing Smash, both things that I wouldn't see anyways. I'd rather have my computer back and just not use YouTube for 2 weeks.
Always look on the bright side. Speaking of the bright side, Nintendo has done something that I think a lot of us did not see coming. Not only have they, fixed a hardware issue with the Switch with a software update, they've also done something else miraculous. The very, very controversial Nintendo's Creators Program that they instituted a few years back. I think it was, I don't even know when it was. It's been around for a couple of years. But essentially, if you don't know about it, you probably mostly been living under a rock, I would assume, if you're on YouTube and you've not heard of people complain about this. But if this is something new to you, they basically have said anything with Nintendo content, they want a piece of the action. They want a piece of the profits and everything. And so they flag everything, and then you have to submit your video to them, and then they would approve it and then give you a portion of those profits. And it was just a huge hassle, especially for people like us and people that have even a bigger following, like a huge following for gaming stuff on YouTube. It's been a thing that's been hurting people's channels overall. They've not been able to make as much profit on their videos. It's limited what they could stream. Like, it's limited what we can stream because we knew that Nintendo was going to have issues with certain things. And so, as you guys probably know, we don't stream Nintendo first party games as much or even play their videos and stuff. We even got flagged for like little clips that we do in our game chat stuff, like the little, like sometimes we do like just the opening sequence for a game, and we get flagged for it, even if it's like 5 seconds. And so many issues with this program. And Nintendo announced just a few days ago that they are officially ending the Nintendo's Creators Program as of March 20th of next year. It's all going to be gone. They're going to be taking down the website, and it's all going away. Barry, did you ever see this happening? Like, what do you think about this?
This is a classic case of Nintendo being 2 years too late to a lot of things. I mean, if you take the general person, or even the slightest business sense, and say what would make sense to you, what would be a good idea, you would put those ideas down, and show them to Nintendo, and Nintendo's like, I'm going to do the exact opposite. And several years later, oh, well, maybe I should have done that. We saw this with the Wii HD, which never truly came out, but the Wii U was really just like a Wii HD. Obviously this is another example. Nintendo Online is another example. They're very late to the party. This whole thing was Nintendo being greedy, trying to get more money, because what happens is YouTube takes a cut, and then the remainder of the cut normally goes to the content creator. Now, if the content creator is like on a website like that's distributing and advertising your channel, they'll take like 10% of your profit for that. That's cool. Nintendo took like 40% of your profit. 40%. If you were one of the higher ups, they only took 30% of the profit after YouTube's cut. That's ridiculous. That is just absolutely ridiculous. This is advertising. This is free advertising. Nintendo's not paying these people. The money is all coming from ad revenue, and it's advertising. There's no reason to do that but wanting more money. Capitalism, greed is exactly the reason why. So obviously this backfired. Obviously this failed, and obviously this hurt because they're backpedaling. And I'm glad they're backpedaling. And I love the way they said, like, we want you to keep sharing Nintendo like memories and the magic with other people. Like, yeah, you know what? You're hamming it up at this point. I'm happy about this. It obviously affects us in our position and NintendoFuse, but it affects everybody. And this is just a great thing. And I think it actually ends the end of the year. It's just the website comes down in March, but I think it officially ends December 31st. So starting January 1st, you don't have to wait till March. We can start streaming Nintendo first-party stuff and not have to worry about getting flagged. And they said like they're not doing any more submissions. They're not even looking at anything that's already submitted. I'm so happy about this. Finally, Nintendo, you're waking up. Please continue to wake up. Please continue giving us what we want.
Yeah. The only unfortunate part is that Smash Brothers comes out before the end of the year, so they're missing out on 3 or 4 weeks of content.
I don't know if they're going to flag it. I don't know if they're going to flag this month at all because of this. In fact, I think they specifically announced it now as opposed to January 1st because they're not flagging anymore. I think they want people to share Smash Brothers. I would be very surprised if after this happens, people put Smash Brothers and instantly get flagged. Like, that would just be bad publicity. That would make people, all right, you know what? Screw you, Nintendo. I tried. I'm done. They want people to do that. But you know what? Greg here is a huge fan of Mario Maker. Mario Maker is perfect for YouTube and streaming and sharing, they missed out on that opportunity big time. So maybe this is a sign Mario Maker's coming to Switch, a new version, Greg. Maybe we could look at that, right?
That's true. What do you think, Greg? Is this the writing on the wall?
Yeah, this is true. That's Mario Maker 2, 2019. Just like Half-Life 3. No, but in all seriousness, this is definitely a thing that's been holding me back from trying to even wanting to really do any streaming or anything like that, just because it's you're going to be putting in all this effort just to do all of this, and then it's like, well, you're not going to even see anything, get any return on it. So it's like, why am I want to put in all this work and share my passion with something I truly enjoy, and then Nintendo is just going to take every possible cent that I could potentially earn off of it? So I definitely hope to increase the my zero amount of streaming up to something over the next year, just to yes, this is how I play some of these games, and this is how much fun I'm having and everything like that. So that's something I'll be looking into as the next year goes on. So
yeah, I know that's actually something that Blake and I have actually been talking about over the last couple of days, and he's hoping to do some more streaming for NintendoFuse, and now this kind of opens up the possibilities. I've been doing a little more streaming for us, and I love that this is this one thing that was somewhat of a hindrance. It was a hurdle for us, and so many other people, like I said, that have a lot larger following than us. It's just been a huge hurdle and a huge thing that's been in the way. I hope that it's not too little too late. Like you were saying, Barry, I hope it does get a life of its own again and kind of pick up some steam again and help them. I hope it didn't hinder for the long term. I know it hindered for a while, but I hope things will kind of catch up with themselves and fix themselves over time. But I guess only time will tell. But now we'll be able to watch a lot more Nintendo content on YouTube, which is definitely a good thing, both for content creators, but also for viewers. It's going to be so much better because there's going to be a lot better and more and better content out there for us to watch, for people that love certain games and want to check out games and everything. There's going to be a lot more people streaming it out there and kind of giving their own opinions about it and stuff like that. And so it's definitely going to be a good thing, I think, for the whole community. So,
yeah,
you guys have any further thoughts on that?
I did want to throw in something really quick, and I know Smash Brothers is also going to be in a really interesting spot because it had all those leaks and stuff of people uploading videos and stuff that Nintendo obviously had to take those down. So I really hope they have their ninjas on duty to not be swiping stuff as the launch day is coming up in the next couple days. So I know sometimes Amazon messes up and you can get your game maybe Wednesday or Thursday. So hopefully they don't start
well, here's the deal. That happened because it was before launch. So if Amazon screws up and you get it Wednesday or Thursday, just be smart. Don't stream it. Wait a day. Just don't break street date on it. Don't let them know. Just play offline or whatever. It seems pretty simple. I know you're trying to get oh my God, I have it beforehand. You know who also has it? Reviewers have it beforehand. Although a lot of reviewers aren't getting Switch now, or getting Smash because of this. A lot of them are not. So it's pretty much going to be a free for all on that day. And they are going to, I guarantee you, they're going to be looking for anything prior to December 7th that goes up Smash related that is not like, here's the already shown trailer, or let's analyze the commercial or something like that. That's fine. But like, here's gameplay of it. Where on the final copy that I have early, they're going to flag that instantly. So just play it safe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was actually just talking to our Nintendo representative today, this morning, and talking about review codes and copies and everything. And she said, yeah, they're really limited, and I think it does have a lot to do with all these different leaks and stuff that's been going on, and which is really unfortunate because it's it has an effect on us. I'm like, man, I was really hoping to get it ahead of time so I can like get some thoughts and everything, but now
you're just gonna have to wait with the rest of us, unlike last time. You only got early copies last time of Smash 4, so now you just have to be like a peasant and a peon like the rest of us.
Peasants. I know it.
Didn't this happen before? Wasn't it like Bowser and Inside Story remake or whatever, or Mario and Luigi, the first one, the Superstar Saga on 3DS? Wasn't there like a huge thing that's why we didn't get like some games, like I think it was like maybe even Fire Emblem Warriors or something, because something like this happened.
Yeah,
this goes back to the very first thing we talked about, where I said a few people ruin it for the rest of us. The whole podcast came full circle.
It did. It's almost like we planned it that way. No, I'm not that smart. Oh man, I mean, I'll edit that out later. Yeah, we totally did that on purpose. Yeah.
Steve, and the starring the Steve show is really that smart.
Right. Yeah.
Don't worry, he'll edit me and you out, and then I'll just look at it.
It's gonna be the shortest podcast ever. No one's gonna. It's not gonna make sense either. It's gonna be like, I don't know. I just have to change everybody's voices. So it all sound like me. Oh man. I know that you guys are really excited. We're all really, really excited about Smash Brothers. Anything else that is coming out that you are excited about, or is it pretty much just Smash over the next couple weeks? Greg, any other thing that you're excited about?
Well, I did do my homework and I didn't really see anything else. So, I mean, you can't really expect like something like a huge blockbuster game, and then it's like, oh yeah, but then there's also going to be this game that's also looking really awesome. I mean, I don't know how much of a game it is, but I did see like a Santa tracker thing. I mean, maybe I might look into that for my daughter, but other than that, it's not really probably even a game. It's just a little app just to like oh, okay, where's Santa? So
there's going to be a Santa tracker on Switch.
Yeah, that's what I see. See, like I said, I've done the homework, so it's
comes out. You did. Is that coming out in physical form? I really want it to come out in physical form. So Barry has to buy it.
Well, it's $2.99, so I think it's just an app.
Limited run. If you're listening right now, Super Rare Games, this is your chance. If you want some money from Barry, just one copy. Just put the work in, one copy,
yes, I would
and
love
Barry
that.
will buy it.
I will absolutely. You know what? I have to fight people for it because everyone would be wanting that one copy.
And you can only get it at Toys R Us.
Are you kidding me? This is the truth. I just had to import a game. It's in English. It's a sports game. I think it's a cricket game or a rugby game or something from Australia. That is only a digital code that comes in a physical case that has a steelbook that was a pre-order bonus, and the steelbook, you open it up and there's no spot for the card. It's a special steelbook that's empty, and I just had to import this as Australia exclusive. So I would get Santa Tracker.
Well, beyond Santa Tracker, Barry, anything else other than Smash and Santa Tracker that's exciting for you the next couple weeks?
I'm excited to go to the mall and get Katamari Damacy from my local GameStop because that's exclusive there, and the Sega Collection comes out on the 7th that I won't not get to play anytime soon. After Smash, I'm not sure. Whatever comes to the door and says, this is out now. Okay.
Great.
Smash
to decide. Smash again.
Yeah, Smash.
I mean,
it's all Smash.
looking at the page, there's a number of physical games. There's like Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom.
Oh yeah, that I'm looking forward to, but I'm not going to get.
That's true. Monster Boy should be really good, but
Toki, Hello Neighbor, Hide and Seek.
Yep, got that. Yeah.
The Genesis, Sega Genesis Classics.
That comes on the same day, the 7th.
Speaking of other systems like Sega Genesis, but this kind of jumped me to thoughts. Isn't the the PlayStation Classic thing coming out sometime soon?
I think today. Today or tomorrow it comes out.
Yeah, and you guys excited about that piece of junk from what I've heard of?
I canceled my pre-order.
Did you?
I had it pre-ordered. I canceled it.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah,
I never really played the original PlayStation, so definitely not.
This was your opportunity, but they did not do a good job of it.
That's what I've heard. It's kind of a bomb.
Also, like 9 of them are the PAL versions, so they don't even run properly. Like, what the heck?
Gosh. Wow.
That's Sony just trying to keep things cheap for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sony's gotten a lot of bad press from this. They hurt their image.
Well, man, that's going to tank their PS4 sales and Switch comes over the top.
There you go.
Yeah, see, exactly.
All because the PlayStation Classic.
I honestly think Sony's planning on PS4 sales going down anyways. I mean, they're not going to be there at E3. There's no PSX this year. They're gearing up for the PS5. So as far as they're concerned, the PS4, whatever it sells now, is probably just coasting.
Yeah, just cut their losses or not really losses, but just kind of move on. And why not? Why not? So thank you guys for joining us for the podcast. We want to remind you guys that you can send in questions to podcast@nintendofuse.com. You can also send them in via social media. So just follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and send us a message with a question. If you prefer that instead of email, that'd be great to get your input, but also leave a comment on the video, leave a comment on our podcast pages on the different apps and services out there where you listen to the podcast. That'd be awesome. And we'd love to get your questions to address in a future episode. Speaking of future episodes, our next episode, which would be on December 17th, will be our Game of the Year episode. We're going to be hitting all of our favorite games from 2018. It's always one of the episodes that we all look forward to throughout the entire year, and it's so much fun to talk about. And this year is going to be maybe even better than previous years because there's so many different games that got released this year, and so we may have some disagreements about what the game of the year is going to be this year. So make sure you do tune in. And also tune in to find out who won. What's that?
I said, don't forget Hassan's going to be joining us.
That is true. Too. Hassan's going to be joining us that next podcast as well. He'll be throwing in his thoughts as well. So it'd be great. It's always great to have him around, even though he's not on all the podcasts anymore. But it's always great when he does come around. So make sure you tune in for Hassan for the Game of the Year, and also for the contest winner. So like Barry said earlier in the podcast, we're giving away a Video Games Monthly 3-up box. And to enter, just go to nintendofuse.com/video-games-monthly. And there's a lot of different ways to enter the contest. Make sure you share it with other people as well. And we will announce the winner on our Game of the Year podcast, which, like, again, December 17th. You don't have to be present at the live recording to win. You do have to claim it within 4 or 5 days, but it's cool to be able to find out when it actually you won, and so we can celebrate with you guys while we're live. So make sure you enter, share it, and tune in on December 17th to find out if you won or not. Greg, any closing thoughts at all?
Nope, just can't wait till Friday.
It's gonna be a good one for sure. Barry, anything from you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I can't wait for Friday. And I just, so weird that this is the end of the year because next podcast is our final one for the entire 2018. Because the next Monday is Christmas and the one after that's New Year's Eve. So we will not be doing it. So the next podcast after that will be 2019. So make sure to come next time to take out this wonderful year. It's been a good year. Maybe. Ring it out with us and join us for the following year in 2019. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love the game of the year.
Yeah, for sure.
You already know Barry's vote, so.
Do you now? Maybe you don't. Actually, I'll be honest. I've been thinking about it, and I had a top 3, and there's already been a shift in the top 3, and the games that were part of like not even part of the top 3, like 4 or 5, actually went back into the top 3. And the more I thought about it, and of course, there's a contender that's coming out this Friday, and I don't know where that's going to place. Is that going to place number 1, 2, 3? Will it maybe not even breach my top 3? See, you're predictable, and Steve is pretty predictable. I'm more the wild card, unless it's like Zelda or Xenoblade. But other than that, yeah, I throw in more outliers there. Although Steve wins with the whole Bayonetta 2 on the wrong year and the Amiibo Fun with Amiibo download game.
That was totally game of the year contender right there. That was a horrible year.
That is the best year to look back and laugh at because we had to pull at straws.
Oh, that was something. I'm so glad we have a lot better choices this time around.
I will say this though. I think Greg and I are going to be only 2 to put Paw Patrol, up there. I mean,
I'm still waiting for you guys to review. That's going to be stimulating viewing or reading, whatever you guys decide. But I'm waiting.
Greg there because I have not opened that yet, and I don't plan on it. But Greg has played it.
Yeah, we've done 4 missions so far. So
nice. I'm just glad as well that the Smash Brothers is coming out a full week and a few days before our Game of the Year podcast, because I know like and Xenoblade came out like a whole day last time, and so you got like 4 days. Okay,
I put in like 60 something hours in 4 days of that game just to be able to give a good option of like being able to talk about it, and I gave it 2nd place. And the more I played about it, I put it above Breath of the Wild, but at that point it was too late. Had the game come out just a little bit beforehand, it would have been my number 1, but I did the best I could in 4 days.
Nice. Yeah. Well, guys, it's been great. Again, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell, make sure you enter the contest for Video Games Monthly, and make sure you share this with other Nintendo fans. And we will see you next time on December 17th for our Game of the Year podcast. Have a great night.
Have a good one.
Catch you guys next time.